Welcome to episode 4 of the building series. In this series, we are not building a small domain project. We are building a professional SaaS system for managing engineering document using ASP.NET Core, domain-driven design, and clean architecture the way real systems are built inside professional organization. In the previous episodes, we designed the architecture, created the solution, and pinned the .NET version using the global.json file. Today, we are going to take a step that may seem simple, but is one of the most important steps in the life of any professional project. We will put BuildFlow under Git version control, connect it to GitHub, and create our first commit for the professional way. Before we write our first line of C#, let me ask you a question. If you start your project directly and after a week or 2 weeks decided to start using Git, do you think you would have lost nothing? The truth is you would have lost the most important thing. You would have lost the story of the project. Every decision you made, every development step, and every stage the project went through would be gone. And when a hiring manager sees a repository containing a single comment with hundreds of files, they cannot tell how the project was built. Was it developed gradually, or was everything copied in at once? This is why professional developers start using Git before writing the first line of code. But let us clarify one important point. Git is not simply a place where we store files. Git is the system for managing the history of project. Every commit represents an engineer decision months from now. When we come back to BuildFlow, we will be able to see when did you added shared kernel, when did you create our first aggregate, when did you introduce CQRS, when did you added authentication. All of this will be documented, and that is why from today onward I will treat BuildFlow as if it were a project being developed by an entire company, even though I am working on it by myself. Let us start by checking whether Git is installed. We will run git dash version. If a version number appears, Git is installed and ready to use. Now, we need to tell Git who we are. First, our username. Git config dash global username name, following by our name. Then our email address. Get config dash global user email, following by our email. If you use GitHub, it is better to use the email associated with your account or GitHub's private no reply email address. If you do not want to expose your real email address in public repositories this way, all your commits will be correctly associated with your account. Now, we turn the BuildFlow folder into a Git repository by running git init. From this moment on, the project has a memory. Git will create a hidden folder called .git. This folder is the heart of the version control system, and it is stored every commit we created later. Never delete the folder or modify its content manually. Now let us move to GitHub. We will create a new repository called BuildFlow.V3. We will make it public because it will be part of our portfolio. We will add a readme, the Visual Studio .getignore file, and an MIT license after creating the repository. We will clone it to our machine. Git clone the way the local repository and the repository on GitHub become connected. From now on, every step we make in BuildFlow will be saved locally and on GitHub as well. It is time for our first commit, but before that, we added the files to the staging area using the command get added dot. We can think of the staging area as a review area. We are telling Git exactly what we want to include in this version of the project. And then we create our first commit by running git commit dash and then following sentence. Note that we did not write first comment or update. Those message tell us almost nothing. Instead, we wrote message that clearly describe what we did. A year from now, when we look back at the project history, we will immediately know what happened at this stage. You may have noticed that we use the word should. It is part of convention called conventional commit, and we will follow this convention throughout this series. When we added a new feature, we will use keep. When we fix a bug, we will use fix. When we update document, we will use docs. When we organizing the code without changing its behavior, we will use refactor. And for configuration or maintenance work, like what we did today, we will use sure. This makes the project history clear to anyone who reads it. There is one piece of device I would like to share with you. Do not make a comment represent a number of files, and do not make a comment represent an hour of work. Make each comment represent one completed idea and features, one fix or one decision. And when the build succeeds after every commit, going back to any point in the project history becomes safe and easy. It is a small habit, but one of the habits that truly distinguish professional developer. Today, we did not write any C# code, but we performed skills that are no less important than writing the code itself. We created a professional Git repository, connected it to GitHub, created our first commit the right way, and did the foundation that we will preserve the story of BuildFlow from its very first day to the final episode of this series. In the next episode, we will create our first real project inside the solution, BuildFlow.SharedKernel, and we will finally start writing our first code in the BuildFlow. See you in the next episode.